welcome once again to Real Shame. It's a show where we review, talk about movies from our movie list of shame or movie blind spots. I'm Adam.
I'm Andy.
Earlier in the week, we talked about a movie that was a foreign movie about someone vanishing called The Vanishing. And we decided to follow that up with another movie about vanishing, and that movie is
Picnic at Hanging Rock.
Picnic at Hanging... I can't even do a... I was going to say Cockney accent, but that's not even right.
Throw another shrimp on the barbie, mate.
Can't even do an Australian accent. We're going to follow that up with Australia's own Picnic at Hanging Rock. Let's get into that.
Yes, we are.
Excuse me, mademoiselle. Yes, Marion. I should like to make a few measurements at the base of the rock if we have time, with Miranda and Irma.
Oh, please, mademoiselle. We'll be back long before tea.
Eh bien, allez.
May I come too, please?
So long as you don't complain.
I won't, I promise.
And don't worry about us, mademoiselle. We shall only be gone a little while. Now I know.
What do you know?
I know that Miranda is a Botticelli angel.
All right, we got a party of schoolgirls that travel to Hanging Rock in the state of Victoria, Southeast Australia, on February the 14th in the year 1900. Four of the girls are given permission to explore the base of the rock, but find themselves ascending ever higher up the great monolith. A short time later, only one girl returns in Peter Weir's Picnic at Hanging Rock. All right, Picnic at Hanging Rock came out in 1975. It actually took a few years before it was released over here in the States, so maybe late 70s, early 80s, something like that. But 1975 was the release date in Australia, summer of 1975, directed by Peter Weir. And when I think of Peter Weir, I think of a chameleon, because the guy has done a lot of different kinds of movies, and he's not one of these guys that's real flashy as a director.
Yeah,
I mean, he doesn't put like his stamp really on the movies, and I don't mean that as an insult. I think it's cool because he lets the story kind of tell itself.
Yeah.
He doesn't try and intrude. And when you sit down and watch a Peter Weir film, you don't go, "Oh, this is definitely a Peter Weir film," like you would with Scorsese or somebody like that. Maybe.
I think maybe the term that's used is like a journeyman filmmaker.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Like,
that's a good description.
you'd say like Chris Nolan is a Chris Nolan film. Like, you can tell.
Yeah.
And then with him, you know, like you said, he lets the movie kind of speak over having his own kind of directorial style. I agree with that 100%. Because, like, I see one of them from here. Like, I see two movies from here that the movies you have listed are drastically different, right?
Oh, yeah.
And what are some of the movies he's done?
Dead Poet Society, The Truman Show, Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World, Witness. He hasn't done a movie since 2010. I mean, he's still, he's alive and well.
Yeah.
But he hasn't done at least a feature film since 2010. His last film was called The Way Back, and I actually have not seen that one.
I've seen that one.
The Way Back.
Yeah, I've seen that one. That was good. That was really good.
He hasn't been doing anything since then, at least feature film wise. I don't know what he's been doing. Maybe he's just enjoying retirement. Who knows? And if you are, good on you, Peter. It stars, actually the cast is not super well known. I did write down some of their names. Anne Louise Lambert plays the pivotal character of Miranda. She's the girl that kind of spearheads them going up Hanging Rock and is one of the girls that disappears.
And the one they only seem to be worried about missing.
Oh, she's the angel. She's the Botticelli angel.
All the other ones they don't care about, but Miranda.
They care about all of them. But Miranda is the most beloved. The only other two actresses that I wrote down to mention are John Jarrett, and I mention him because he plays Albert in the movie. If you have seen the Wolf Creek movies, he is Mick Taylor. He's the bad guy in the Wolf Creek films. He's also in Django Unchained, in the scene that has Quentin Tarantino in it. He's in the same scene. Because Quentin Tarantino is a fan of some of John Jarrett's Australian films. He's also in Next of Kin, which I believe Tarantino's a pretty big fan of that film. Not Patrick Swayze Next of Kin, different Next of Kin. Oh. Anyway, Jackie Weaver finally plays Minnie. She has a small role in the movie, but I mention her because she's had a decent career in America. She's actually been nominated for Best Supporting Actress 2 different times for Animal Kingdom and for Silver Linings Playbook. She didn't win either time, but still, she got nominated both times. But this is a movie that I've seen. I've seen this movie more than 3 times. I don't know how many times I've seen it, but I've seen it quite a few times. But you've never seen it.
I've never seen it.
And I mentioned it when we talked about, because when this airs, Valentine's Day will be this coming Sunday. When this airs, it's not right now, but it will be. Yeah, so just in time for Valentine's Day. Don't let your loved one disappear. If you can help it, but that's why I chose.
Or maybe you do.
I guess if you don't get along, that's okay. No,
take her to Hanging Rock, guys.
Take her to Hanging Rock, or take her to the rest stop in France where Saskia disappeared in The Vanishing. No, don't do that. For God's sake, don't do that. All right. Anyway, you Picnic at Hanging Rock. Obviously, you heard of it because I mentioned it when we talked about holiday-ish films, but you didn't really know anything about it.
Yeah, and I kind of watched the trailer, first part, because I was trying to get Kirby to watch it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, this might be interesting. And I was taken aback. It took place in 1900s. Like people are wearing Victorian era garb. And I was like, oh, I thought this was going to be a more kind of modern, for the 70s kind of movie.
Well, so did you know already that it had a remake on Amazon Prime? No. Did you? No. Okay.
No, but I think Natalie Dormer is in that remake,
she plays the Mrs. Appleyard character in that one.
Okay. Yeah. The old lady?
Yeah, she plays that character.
Natalie Dormer's young.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get into it.
All right.
No. Anyway, so drop a little science on us. What do you like? What do you like? What do you not like?
So this is the type of movie I struggle a lot with, because I feel like this movie's all about evoking a certain kind of mood, and it's
agreed.
And I feel like it's kind of lyrical in that way, and it's more about mood over characterization and story, right? Mm-hmm. And those kind of movies just leave me kind of cold. They don't really work for me as well. So there's aspects of it that I think is kind of cool and interesting, but ultimately for this movie to work for me, I would have preferred to see it kind of done in a different way. I would have just to put that out there. So I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying it's just not a movie that kind of really resonates with me, right? Mm. But if it was going to be a movie that was going to resonate with me, I would have been more interested in seeing I don't care what happened to the girls or if that's ever explained. That doesn't bother me at all. Mm. But I would have thought it would have been more interesting to see kind of the fallout at the school and stuff like that. I do feel like they touch on points about what's happening with other parents not paying and girls getting pulled out of school, but they really don't dig in deep. I would like to see a doubt kind of let's get in deep of what's going on and how this institution's falling apart because of the disappearance of these girls. I wanted that kind of stuff, a bunch of talking heads kind of drama, I think would have resonated more with me than this kind of tone poem that's bouncing around and going back to Hanging Rock and kind of showing these different kind of things. So that's kind of where it kind of left me. It kind of left me cold just because it was more about evoking this mood than it was about, the story and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much about a feeling. I don't think that you watch this movie for necessarily a strong story at all. So the movie begins with some a paraphrasing of the immortal words of the famous rapper Edgar Allan Poe. But the very first line that you hear in the movie is, "What we see and what we seem is but a dream within a dream." And I feel like that perfectly sort of encapsulates this movie, or perfectly kind of summarizes this movie. If you watch this movie, first of all, as you brought up, if you watch this movie expecting the mystery of the missing girls to be solved, you're going to be very frustrated.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
And from what I understand, that does frustrate a lot of people that watch this film that want a resolution as to what happened to these girls, because they don't ever find these girls. Well, they find one of the girls, basically, they find. But the 3 other girls the two other girls are gone for good, and as well as one of the teachers, Miss McCraw.
Yeah, she just like gets up and leaves.
She gets up and leaves with no pants on.
She gets with no pants. Yeah, she's missing her skirt,
her pantaloons.
and I love all that stuff. I love the fact that this hanging rock apparently has this weird hypnotic effect on people for some strange reason.
Is that what it is?
I think it's at a certain time of day. Because it happened to that one guy.
I think it's very open to interpretation.
When he stayed over the night. Mm-hmm. Like, because they went up there and it wasn't affecting him, but then he stayed over the night, and then it's like, I think like at a certain time, like noon, that's when the thing starts reacting.
I couldn't tell, like, are these people just dehydrated?
Well, I think that's part of it, too.
Because they just all go, oh, it's like falling asleep in the Wizard of Oz poppy field. You're just like they're all just like, and then you have the fat one who's like, I'm tired, and yet she like can scream. I mean, it's just
she doesn't belong though. Like the three other girls, I feel like are almost like sirens or something. You know, they're not sirens. Maybe they hear the sirens call, but they're kind of beckoned to the top because they basically go into this little chasm and they're gone. But the other girl doesn't really belong with them, and she just kind of tagged along.
Yeah.
She can't fit in the chasm.
She can't take her shoes off. She doesn't want to get dirty. She falls in the water, and she complains a lot.
Yeah. She does, but just like a dream that you might have in real life, you can talk about it to somebody, and I feel like it's all just open to interpretation. I don't feel like there's any right or wrong answers in this movie.
Why does the older teacher join? Like, what's her deal?
I think the older teacher. Now, again, I don't really have a good answer for that. I feel like the older teacher went to go look for them, and also somehow got caught up in the hypnotic dizziness of the rock. And started because the girls also, they don't take their skirts or anything off, but they take off their hose and they take off their shoes and socks and whatever. I don't know why the lady took her skirt off, but she did have her drawers on, according to the.
Oh yes.
She was wearing her drawers.
But like right before, the
but
last
she didn't
thing we see, she's just like.
She looks up at them, yeah.
Because it's not like I don't even think she heard. I mean.
She didn't nap through it.
She didn't nap. She was reading an algebra book.
She's the only one. Yeah. She was looking at Euclid elements or something. I don't know.
Which I.
She was reading an algebra book on how to calculate the height of an object based on its shadow.
She's like, how far up are they?
Yeah, pretty much.
Anticipating. I mean, Adam had to be like, Kirby, be quiet, like many times during this movie because I just didn't. They all wore corsets, and yet only two of them actually had a corset on. Which I mean, I was like freaking out over the costume correctness of this movie for a little bit, but like, this movie was weird. It was just weird.
It is weird, but and again, I mean, I feel like you fall into one of two camps with this movie. You're either transfixed by it or you're not.
Are you transfixed by it?
Yeah, I love this film.
Really?
I mean, why would I have watched it so many times? Why would I have seen it so many times?
I don't know.
I think this is a great film. I like the whole ambiance of it. I like the feeling.
Okay,
yeah.
So then,
what do you think about the music at the Rock?
I figured you would bring that up. I don't have a problem with it. I think the music.
It feels like it belongs to a different movie.
No.
I put Omen-esque. So
the music, I think what you're referring to, so the music is by George Zamfir. He plays a pan flute.
He does have the Ricky O thing.
Yes, we were okay.
It does have the Ricky O thing, but when they're at the mountain, there's his ominous kind of
there's some more kind of modern sounding music.
Shaking
so almost like a synthesizer, like a rumble, like a synthesizer or something. Yeah,
the Ricky O.
Peter Weir also uses that kind of music in Gallipoli. It's very kind of anachronistic sounding. Yeah.
So like jumping a little ahead. So when the one girl who's rescued, when they're like, hey, when they're in their super weird ballet class, and they're like, hey, you could say bye.
Why is it super weird?
Because they're not doing ballet, and yet like the bar.
They're doing like some stretching exercises.
Wasn't the ballet? I mean,
what are they supposed to be doing?
Traditional ballet and Victorian.
I think that's just how girls worked out in the 1900s.
Anyway, so what was super weird is like they bring in the girl who survived, and I guess she's about to leave.
Yeah.
And they're like, you guys can talk, and they're all super mad at her.
Yes.
Including the one that was there, like the dowdy one. And they just like attack her. Like, what is up with that?
I think that they're all they are bewildered. They don't know what happened to Miranda and the other girls, and so they're scared, and so they have fear, but they don't have something tangible to give that fear to or to lash out against until she comes back, and then they feel like she's withholding something, so that she becomes this thing to.
Well, because
the
the dowdy one
doesn't know what happened either.
She
was
rides
there, but
back
she doesn't know
with
what
him.
happened either.
She ride back with him, not days later,
I
like
know,
that
the
lady.
fact is, all she had to do was just not scream and run away, because she didn't even make an effort.
Yeah, but she was screaming and hysterical the whole movie. She's like that when they go up on the rock. That's just that's her nature.
I mean, but I was like, is this going to be like? I was like, are they going to straight up murder her?
No.
And then the teachers at this facility are very sketchy, because the one just hid behind a chair as opposed to breaking it up.
It has been suggested. I don't interpret the movie this way, but some people suggest that it's some kind of metaphor for like a sexual awakening, and that the girls, when they vanish, they are having sex, or they are becoming a woman or something. And the girls that come down, because if you notice, the girls that come down are unmolested, right? The guy says that.
Oh my God, yes.
A couple of times.
He makes, what did he say, Adam? Intact.
Yes, she's intact.
Oh,
right.
That was so uncomfortable.
That only happens to the girls that come back, but the girls that are gone forever, they have been soured in some way.
But that doctor makes sure that it was. That was so.
Again, that's another way to look at it. And then when she comes back, she's dressed in red, which could be blood. You can, there's a lot of different things you can.
Because the Miranda, who is I agree with Adam, is the only focus of this entire thing. They don't ever scream.
She's the most popular, so she's going to have more focus.
She's very popular.
Well, she's described as a Botticelli angel.
By the French teacher.
By the French teacher.
Italian. She's confusing too, but like.
A French teacher speaking Italian. When did she speak Italian?
She had an Italian accent and then switched to a French. Like, I swear. Whatever.
Okay,
anyway.
I've never noticed that.
But yet at the beginning they made a point, because I would imagine if the Miranda, who's the star of the show, was of this sexual awakening, she wouldn't have told Sarah to be like, hey, you can't be in love with me anymore. That seems to go against some type of sexual awakening.
Well, I think that whole scene is interesting because she says, you must learn to love another. I won't be here much longer. And I think that can be construed two different ways. One is I'm leaving school. The other is she knows she's going to leave. She knows when they go to Picnic and Hanging Rock, she's going to be taken in some way. And Liam Neeson is going to be like getting on the phone after her. No.
I don't know who you are.
Yeah, I have a particular set of skills.
And then it's like there's no payoff with the fact that Sarah is the brother of the other guy.
I do agree with that.
Super early.
There are some threads in the film that have really no resolution. Well, the whole movie's not resolved because the girls aren't resolved. But I don't mind it in a story like this as much because the whole thing is kind of weird and ultra sensory kind of strange things. But yeah, definitely they do nothing with that. She talks about Birdie, and his name is Albert. The valet's name is Albert. But yeah, they don't. And he talks about he had a dream about her, and she talks about she had a dream about him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they don't really do anything with that. I just feel like it kind of adds more to the dreamlike aspect of the whole movie.
This might be one of those movies that's really fun to watch, like Altered.
Maybe so. Yeah. And also Mrs. Appleyard just kind of goes crazy. She just kind of slowly loses it. And apparently she killed Sarah, right? Don't you think that? Did. She murdered Sarah.
You guys,
she threw Sarah out the window.
Because she tells but she tells the French teacher Sarah left. Her dad came and got her. No, she does a whole.
Wait, but I thought that was oh wow, okay.
I think she killed it, and
I think you can think of it both ways, but I always think of it as Mrs. Appleyard just snapped and threw her off the roof.
I think that would have made that. And again, if someone wanted to make a less tone poem lyrical version of this movie, it would have been interesting to see her go crazy and snap and get to that point where she snaps because her whole world is falling apart. All these students are pulling out, and then she has this one student that is like a hard person to put up with, and her parents or her adopted parents aren't even paying money, and then she lashes out on this girl. That's an interesting story that this is kind of plays in the shadows.
Wait, she did not kill her because the fact that like she was already having to go away anyway. So she
made that up.
She didn't know because she said, listen, I haven't heard from your guardians. They're not paying for you. You got to go back to the orphanage. Like, all she had to do was ship her off. It actually causes more problems for the old lady if she pushes her out the window.
Not really, because the guy, the voiceover that you hear at the end says that she traveled to Hanging Rock herself and died. So apparently she
Wow.
was planning to do herself in or whatever. Anyway, they don't say how she died, but she was found dead at Hanging Rock.
I did think that Sarah was very well preserved because I think like months passed between her being found and
No, it was a night.
no, it felt longer than that.
No,
It
it was
was
like the next day.
Was it the next
was,
day?
because
Yeah.
they were all
Oh.
leaving.
Yeah.
And she was like,
Yeah.
everything's fine.
Where's Sarah? Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then, but like, there's so many things like I can't handle. Like this movie's just so weird. It's
It
weird
is.
because
I'll give it to you. It's weird. I think it's weird in a good way, though. I really like it.
in film school, the head of the directing department, if a director didn't know the answers to these questions, you literally were like ripped apart by the guy who wrote like Cool Hand Luke. Like he was like, get off the stage because like people would do these like, we don't know what the ending is. It's very open. He'd be like, what's the answer? And if the guy
Did you go to film school with the Beatles?
What do you,
That sounded very like Beatle Liverpoolian. The way you're saying that.
how'd it go?
I don't know.
But like, if you didn't know, so part of it, we read a review that was like, we didn't know does Peter Weir know the answers to these questions, and part of me thinks he didn't, because I don't know.
Well, he met with the author. The author, Joan Lindsay is her name. He met with the author before he made the film, and he asked her some questions about the book to try and clarify, and she wouldn't give him the answers. And so I think he just was like, all right, I'm just going to... This was his second feature film
I'm gonna wing
after
it.
The Cars That Ate Paris. But it's one of his most beloved, I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I think, and also I think I was reading that the lady who wrote the book was getting a lot of publicity for it because was it based on true stories, and she was kind of hamming it up that it was.
She did the whole based on a true story
Yeah.
thing, kind of.
The Blair
maybe,
Witch kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but earlier.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, based on a true story.
Yeah, how do you ever say it? Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I agree with you. I think you're going to either fall into two camps. You either like this kind of movie or you don't like this kind of movie. And,
Yeah. It's very
and I don't think
ambiguous
it's
in a lot of
bad
ways.
because it's that kind of movie.
It's ambiguous in a lot of
when
ways.
you're talking about the whole sexual awakening thing, the girl that comes back is the one who like was really DTF with the driver, right? She's like, I would wear that diamond bracelet even if it was all I had on. What do you think, Mr. Driver Man?
Yeah, I think that was her, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, that to me...
But maybe that's why she's wearing red. Maybe it is like she's sexually awoken. Like she wanted
but they were
to.
like, nope, you're good.
She didn't think boys were icky, and that's why she got called up there.
Yeah, but then
They
they were
didn't
like,
have
oh, you're
cooties.
damaged goods because you were like trying to flirt with this like 40-year-old guy and you're like 12.
There you go. There's a good theory. So
There
you're
you
coming
go.
up with stuff right and left. There you go. There you go. But no, I like this movie for those reasons. You could talk about it. Obviously, we could have a long conversation about it, no matter what you feel about it, right? Because you're like, man, it's so weird. I just got to talk about it. I got to talk about these things that
Why
happened
do
to
you
it.
think the rich young guy got so involved? Like he went from zero, like he didn't think anything of it. Police interrogated him. He incriminated himself like crazy, and then he was like, I'm all in on finding these girls.
I just think he was almost like Rex in The Vanishing. Like he was like the last person to see them go. And he does start to kind of follow them at first. But I think he just feels almost guilty because he's the last person that saw them alive, other than the girl that runs screaming back down.
Because at the beginning, I thought it was almost going to be his Albert. I guess
the John Jarrett character,
slave,
Albert,
I don't know what that
Birdie.
means.
It's just like their
guys.
driver, valet is what they
Because
call it. Yeah.
he had a tattoo, and it
Servant.
was like I thought it was like, oh, this is gonna be bad. Like they're gonna, but
Yeah, they're
nothing
gonna
ever happened with that.
Molest him or something.
Yeah.
They don't touch him.
Did you read the IMDb trivia about like how the book ends?
Oh
Like, the
no, but
book's-
I have read how the
book's very explicit to what happens to him.
The book doesn't explain what happened to them, but there's further explanation that she actually didn't publish in the original novel. Yeah, so that's not actually part of the novel, but yes, I have read that part.
I want you guys to tell me after the podcast.
Yeah.
what
Okay,
happened.
it's weird.
Yeah,
It's very weird.
Yes.
Yeah. So go on.
No, I was just gonna list off a few of the things. I don't have a lot of answers for this film. I think of it more as just kind of dreamlike, as they say in the movie. I do think that it's almost like Miranda, because she is described as this angelic kind of figure. It's almost like she's too good for this world, and so she's just spirited away at the top of Hanging Rock, and she just happens to have these other 2 girls along with her.
I mean, everyone thinks she's the best thing ever, so I'm not shocked.
Best thing since sliced bread. I like the superimposition and the slow motion that they do whenever they're at the rock, and how they're just kind of swaying and in this weird kind of trance, and like you said, they kind of fall asleep together, like they're in concert, and then they get up together, and then they go just in a daze, kind of walk up. Like I really like all of that stuff, and I love the ending, the way that it ends, because it just goes back to an earlier scene in the movie, and it kind of pans around, and you see all the characters, and then you see her do the wave, and then she turns, and you see the back of her hair flit around, and that's where it freezes, and then it just goes to like a white screen, and then it goes to the. I really like that freeze frame kind of ending, and I like the music in the movie. Not the music that you're talking. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but they use a lot of classical music. Like they use Beethoven, they use Emperor Concerto, Tchaikovsky, they use Mozart, Eine kleine Nachtmusik, or whatever, a little night music. Yeah, but the pan flute that Zamfir plays, that always makes me think about when I was a kid. They had a commercial for like you could buy Zamfir and his pan flute, like you could buy like 4 LPs or 2 cassettes or whatever. Really? Yeah, of Zamfir. It was like, it was. He was like the Yo-Yo Ma of that time. Yeah, he was big in the 80s. Yeah, he was the Yo-Yo Ma of that time. But that's what made me, or that's what I think of when I think of Zamfir.
We got Ricky O vibes from the pan flute.
Ricky O vibes.
It's kind of hard.
I can see that.
It's kind of hard in a post Ricky O world.
Exactly.
Also, I like Miranda when she's up at the top of Hanging Rock. She says the line. She says everything begins and ends at exactly the right time. Like it's very kind of cryptic, but again, it's almost like she knows that she's going to go away. And that's, again, when she tells Sarah, I'm not going to be here much longer, I think you can think of that 2 different ways. It's a double meaning, I'm not going to be here, I'm going to leave school, or I'm literally going to be spirited away.
I figured because she was older, she was graduating. That's what I took it as.
Yeah. Well, and it could be taken literally or figuratively, I feel like. Either way works. Yeah. But, I mean, I like this film. Again, I don't have all the answers. I don't think anybody does. It is a tone poem. It is very lyrical.
Did Mrs. Appleyard's hair remind you of
Gary
Oldman and Bram Stoker's Dracula?
It did. And you said that you kind of wanted to see more of her breakdown, but I feel like her hair demonstrates the breakdown because at first it's very perfectly kind of coiffed, and then it starts to unravel, and until eventually it's kind of just hanging down by her face. And then she gets drunk at that one time.
And is like, I relied. And she talks about the older teacher who like ran up with no pants on or whatever. Uh-huh. She is like,
Miss McCraw.
I used to rely on. You can't rely on anybody. I mean, I was just.
Let me tell you. She's like drinking, And Miss Appleyard getting crunk.
And the French Italian teacher was just like, yikes.
Yeah.
Like just.
Should I just back out slowly?
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Yeah. So this movie is part of the Australian New Wave. So after World War II, there was a decent Australian film industry, and then it kind of apparently dried up. The 70s kickstarted a new wave, an Australian new wave, and Peter Weir literally rode that wave because the next film he made after Picnic and Hanging Rock is called The Last Wave. And it's another kind of movie. I think Picnic at Hanging Rock, there's a lot of kind of contrast between these European settlers that are dressed to the nines in their top hats, and they're out there in this, treacherous kind of landscape almost, but they're out there having tea and crumpets, and they've got their little table set up. It's kind of funny. The Last Wave actually deals with a lawyer who comes, I think he has to work with some Aborigines in the film, and there's a lot of kind of mystical stuff going on in The Last Wave as well. So if you don't like that stuff about Picnic and Hanging Rock, you might not like that stuff in The Last Wave. But after The Last Wave, he made Gallipoli, then he made The Year of Living Dangerously, then he came over to the States and started making things like Dead Poets Society, Witness, Mosquito Coast, Truman Show, all that kind of stuff. He's had a successful career over here since then. The remake came out in 2018. It's on Amazon Prime. I watched the first episode and I couldn't take any more.
Was it really bad?
I don't like it at all. Yeah.
What can you say? Like, can you know what it was?
I mean, it doesn't have the lyrical quality of this film. They make it much more literal. I didn't like some of the acting. It's very kind of edgy and flashy and slick and looks like a music video or something. I just thought it was crap. I couldn't take more than one episode. That was enough. It's 90% fresh, 83% audience score. So it's interesting. Siskel and Ebert reviewed it on their show when it came out, and Siskel did not like it. He gave it thumbs down. Roger Ebert gave it thumbs up. But then in the 90s, actually just before Siskel passed away, they re-reviewed it because I think it got re-released in 98. And Siskel then gave it thumbs up. So he
changed.
He flip-flopped on it. He gave it thumbs up then. Ebert gave it thumbs up again. So Ebert gave it thumbs up twice. And Leonard Maltin gives it the default 3 stars.
I actually read some of the Ebert review on this movie because I was trying to understand like kind of what he saw, and he liked the whole bunch of lyricalness of it and stuff like that and how it was. So it was very interesting. All right, that's it. So in lieu of your question this week, we're gonna actually have a little would you rather segment. And if you like this segment, let us know. If you don't like it, let us know. But we figured it'd be fun to change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
These are questions from the internet. I did not make
these are questions from the internet.
What is the internet?
Okay. These are movie-related questions.
Okay.
Would you rather have to sit in someone's lap every time you watched a film or sit on the floor with no pillows?
Oh, that's easy for me.
I think I'd rather sit on the floor with no pillows.
I sit on the floor with no pillows normally. So
I'm sitting on the floor right now. So.
Yeah.
I don't,
Well, you're sitting on a pillow.
I don't think
Screw
I,
you, okay?
I don't think I want to sit in somebody's lap.
Me either.
Is it whose lap is it? Is it Santa Claus?
No.
Do I get toys?
Is it the Santa Claus from dial code
We're doing
315?
more than one of these, okay?
Okay, we'll do like 3 to
Okay.
5.
Yeah.
Would you rather live in the Matrix or enter dreams in Inception?
That's the easy one.
Oh, you go first this time.
Inception, of course.
Yeah, Inception.
I
think it should be cooler.
It would be cooler, and also it's like the real world in the Matrix. Like you're basically stuck in like, 99 2000. And like you're living your normal life. But Inception, you're like doing cool dream stuff, and you can like incept people,
walking up walls.
Walking
You're
up
like
walls.
Lionel Richie, you dancing on the ceiling.
Yeah, Lionel Richie. I want to be like JGL. I want to fight people in the hallway.
Hey, would you rather only be able to watch Sharknado for the rest of your life or never watch a movie again?
Oh, that's a pretty good one.
You know what? I have an answer. Do you have an answer?
I think I could watch Sharknado the rest of my life.
I'd give up on movies because there's so many good things like on television. There's like limited series. There's TV shows. There's comic books. Like I would think, and I've seen Avengers Endgame, that's like the pinnacle
but I
of movies right there.
So could I not? I can't watch Sharknado and watch other stuff. I mean, not other movies, but I couldn't watch other stuff.
I think it's solely Sharknado.
If we limit it to just the text of the question.
But could I read books?
I think it said watch, so I believe it's watching, visual.
Yeah.
So I would assume you could read books. I did not make up the question.
I'm not going to change my answer. I would watch Sharknado.
Okay, and this is the final one.
As long as I can watch Queen's Gambit, I'm good.
You have to would you rather hang around Stuart Little forever or eat Babe?
Man, I'd eat Babe. I love Babe.
Yeah, I'm gonna say bacon's on.
How's that a would you rather? Like unless you're a vegetarian, the answer is eat Babe.
Yeah, I'm gonna say bacon's on the menu, boys.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. One more final silly one.
Yeah, that was too quick. Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather watch Jack slip away into the cold, icy water in Titanic, or marry Rose's fiance, Cal Hockley, aka
Billy Zane? Right?
Billy Zane. I'm marrying the Phantom.
So
give me Billy Zane.
I'm sorry. The option is: would you rather watch him die or marry the other guy?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I think one's supposed to be worse than the other.
I mean. I flip a coin on that. I don't care.
I'm gonna marry Billy Zane.
I'm marrying Billy Zane.
I guess
I'm marrying
sure.
I'll marry
Billy Zane. Why not?
Okay.
Marrying the Phantom.
Yeah, I'll marry the Phantom.
Hey.
All
let
right.
us know if you enjoyed that.
We're gonna marry the Phantom.
All right.
And we're gonna eat Babe.
We're gonna eat
and
Babe.
I'm gonna watch Sharknado for the rest of my life.
That's it.
And I'm gonna sit on the floor when I do it.
Our movie podcast is gonna be very boring because it's gonna be you reviewing Sharknado every week and then me reviewing everything but movies.
I I take Adam's place.
As long as I can eat bacon while I'm watching Sharknado on the floor.
I think there is actually a podcast where they review the same movie over and over again, and they've watched it like hundreds of times at this point. I believe that's true. I'll look for it.
That would be rough.
All right, that's it. All right, so that was our new fun segment. Hopefully it was fun. Would you rather? If you want to see more of that, let us know. You can leave a comment below, or you can choose to email realshame@gmail.com. We also answer viewer questions that come into that email box. So if you have a question you want us to answer on the show, let us know. Shoot us that email. We're also on social media. We're at Real Shame on Instagram. And if you want us on another social media platform, let us know. Like, we're kind of hip. We'll join some other places. We'll be cool. And like, subscribe, and share. Do all that social media stuff because that really does help. Spread the word of the podcast, and we appreciate that very much. And stay tuned next week as we cross a movie off of his list of shame. And we'll see you soon, guys. See ya.